What you are about to hear is all true and can be confirmed by visiting the CIA's own website and searching through their archives. Of course, there are also plenty of other places to find this very crucial information. So please, listen carefully. That is why I'm speaking so slowly, to make sure everything is heard and understood. Also, please feel free to fact check me once the video ends. The American government began studying mind control with the MKUltra project in the late 40s to early 50s. This was right after World War II, and this includes some rather strange choices in the wake of that sobering world event. We had just dealt with an evil authority who committed terrible atrocities by performing cruel experiments on unsuspecting patients, all without consent and all with torturous results. Of course, this is why the United States government then hired many of those same sadistic and insane geniuses to help us with our mind control programs in Operation Paperclip. What would follow would be yet another case of America violating its own laws. The Nuremberg Code was made during a series of trials against the heinous Nazi scientists who had committed those cruel experiments we mentioned earlier. The Nuremberg Code was created to ensure no one could perform experiments on people without their consent and knowledge. Of course, if you know anything about MKUltra, you know that our government did commit cruel experiments on servicemen and women, the mentally ill, prisoners, and everyday people without consent or knowledge. In 1977, knowledge of these crimes was briefly headline news, and there were congressional hearings regarding the abuse, and yet, what it all amounted to was them telling us, "Oh yeah, nothing came of that research, and we are so sorry for breaking our own laws." Sure, let's trust these people who have no issue violating their own laws, who created this country through genocide and with the labor of slaves. Yeah, we should trust these very moral and just leaders. Of course, it's easy to be bitchy. It's easy to sling mud. But when you have proof that mind control has been utilized against us, then I think you are entitled to having a bit of an attitude. Now, let's put some puzzle pieces together. When it comes to critics, they tell you if something is good or bad, approved or disapproved. They are not in the business of assisting you to understand how you feel about a certain piece. They are telling you what to think about that thing. While we can all choose to think for ourselves, the fact is, we rely on the authority to assist us. We trust them, and even when we disagree or hate them, we still place our lives in their hands. Not even by default, but oddly, by choice. You can find an interesting trend among disapproved or supposedly rotten entertainment. These pieces often contain bits and bobs that point to subjects like mind control, free will, governmental conspiracies, and the fact that those in power abuse and utilize it to feel like gods, oppressing those they are meant to nurture and lead into a wonderful future. Who have those in power always taken care of? The powerful. Who has always been under the boot of those powerful people? Is it perhaps agents of evil who would seek to destroy our wonderful world? Nope. Powerful people keep powerless people under their boots. And that has been the truth of this country since its birth. One would think when you utilize slavery as much as those Egyptians y'all love so much, and given the historic results of turning people against each other, all in the hopes of maintaining power, well, you would think wise people would learn from history, but instead, it just convinces them they need to try harder to be worse people. If you want to maintain power over a people, You must make them feel powerless. You must divide them, and you must control what they think and feel. Most of all, you must control what ideas they are exposed to. When we understand what an empire and evil totalitarian government look like, then our 1984 would have to be different. Instead of censoring ideas or making certain art illegal, you just make sure that most of the weaker-willed masses will instead naturally choose to avoid those things because they are told they're wastes of time. You would allow this art to exist, but you would shame it. And this would allow the idea of free will to appear to exist within our world. But the reality is that people won't watch, play, or listen to things that they are told are rubbish. This also makes it easier to silence those speaking the truth. Most people will never listen to those who claim our world is more like a comic book or B-movie than the high-gloss, brutal reality you believe we live in. They use politics, entertainment, and the news media to tell you what to think, feel, and believe. While we can make our own choices, it's hard to make good ones when you have no idea what's true. Politics are nothing more than teenagers bickering in a high school cafeteria. News media is the exact same thing. We are not seeing diplomacy. We are not being given information to make our own choices. We are watching a stage play that was written in the reality TV era. We believe that people are bad, that we cannot get along, that it could be all our fault that the world is like this. Bullshit! This is the fault of evil people who have no issue with genocide or insanely disgusting experimentation. The sadistic urge to play God with our lives, or, failing to be the leaders we need and deserve. We are not the problem. We are so good that we do as we are told. We hate the people we think are bad. We love those we are told to love. We enjoy what we are told is good enough. We hate that which we think wastes our time and money. All because of those who tell us what to do. I was led to this information that is verifiable. Fact check MKUltra and Operation Paperclip. Then look at the state of our world. Think of the story of the arcade game Polybius, which was stated to be some kind of government tool that was either a recruitment, brainwashing, or data mining device. Now, regardless if that game existed or not, everything it was supposed to be used for could be said about many video games. From Call of Duty perhaps inspiring a generation of soldiers, to the data mining on social media and beyond, and the fact that we have seen a rise in video games utilizing questionable design choices to ensure their games are more addictive, and no, not in the ways that games like Halo used to be. Although, well, kinda. Almost any video game could be seen as addictive, or you could find some design choices meant to manipulate the player into giving more time than they may desire to. But games like Fortnite and many of the copycats and esports-styled games, well, they almost exclusively utilize those kinds of manipulative practices. It's not all bad. I think many of the pieces of art that expose these truths, and even some games that might utilize some of the mind-controlled data, are trying to use it for the right reasons. To combat this insane evil that has ruled over our world since fucking Egypt. The world belongs to the meek, the powerless, those who follow the good rules, those who try their best, those who care, those who would change this world for the better in a heartbeat, given the chance. I believe there are those who, for a long time, have from the shadows tried to guide, free, and protect us. But the fact is, they must come out of the shadows. We must expose this evil together. We must face it, united as a family. Those who seek to divide us, who seek to oppress us, they have a choice. They can leave their evil shit behind them, join us, and help us. Or, when all is said and done, they won't even be the lonely ones. They will be the forgotten ones. Evil dies tonight. This is all real, and there is so much more. Our reality is so much more incredible than you think. We are in for one wild ride, but I promise you, on the other side lies the great big beautiful tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening, and I love you all.